All right. Welcome back to episode 2 of the Love, Death, and Movies podcast. I'm Ash, and today I am only joined with one of my wonderful co hosts, Harry. Byron could not join us as he's having some technical difficulties, so he says.
Ash, I'm convinced this guy lives in Narnia. Um, his internet is powered by remember like those old cartoons. That's not even an old cartoon. It's probably in history where like the head of the family powers up their entire electricity by bicycle. That's what I'm convinced Byron does in New Zealand. I'm still not convinced that that country is real. And I think this even more proves it. But yeah, unfortunately, we're not with Byron today.
Yeah, sad day, but we are still going to continue on, and we have some fun topics for today. We are continuing with our horror theme for October. So we are going to share some of our favorite jump scares and movies, talk about some of the first horror films we remember watching. Got some nice fun facts for you. See if Harry knows
Oh,
about these. And then you have a fun little game for me at the end that I don't really know much about. So that'll be fun. But we will start with how we're doing and what we've been watching. So, Harry, tell me, how are you? What have you been watching?
yeah, I've been good. Ash, I've been good. Thank you for asking. How my week's going? My week's going good. Work was really good this week. Actually, it's always been super busy towards the end of this year, but it was like a really productive week. Everything that needed to happen happened, which was great. My personal life, I'm getting some of my floor tiled. As you can see, I'm moving the camera a bit for the visual listeners. There's like no door to my bathroom at the moment. There's like a plank across the. It's because the tile's getting dried. Actually, the glue has to dry.
It has
Um,
to.
but every time I go either to the bathroom or my bedroom, I feel like I'm walking the plank out of Pirates of the Caribbean. But that's just me. That's just me. Oh, what I've been watching, Ash. Watching a bunch, a couple of call outs. Last night I got to go see Back to the Future in the cinema. That was good fun.
That's so jealous.
I didn't even think about pre-booking tickets because I live about 5 minutes away from a cinema, and I walked up there and I like 15 minutes before the movie is starting, and the place was packed, and I'm like, fuck, this is sold out. And I went up and I bought one. He goes, three tickets left, and I got the like one of the last tickets and like sat like 4 rows from the front, which is kind of where I always like to sit anyway. But yeah, it was unreal, great experience. But other than that, I saw three other movies that I would like to mention. I saw Dumb Money. You haven't seen that yet, have you?
Not yet. I'm waiting for it to come on digital, and I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah. Dumb Money's great. It's I was talking to a friend about this. There's a place in this world for these type of movies where, like, in terms of quality, like they don't do anything flashy, but they're just so entertaining, and I thoroughly enjoyed my time with it. Paul Dano's awesome. Pete Davidson plays his brother, and I think that I love Pete Davidson, and whenever he pops up in a film, I'm instantly more happy. Like it's like
I
a
love him too, but that duo definitely threw me off. I was
oh, it's a
like,
weird
Paul
duo.
Dano and Pete?
It's a weird duo for sure. They don't seem like brothers at all, but like they're a good little dynamic for sure. Um, so yeah, definitely go see Dumb Money. I gave it 3.5, but again, like that's just the quality. Like it doesn't do anything flashy, but in terms of entertainment value, it's a great time. I saw this Australian movie I've been messaging you and Byron about called The Cost. So it was during the week. I had a really busy day at work, and I was just walking up to the cinema up my road. There was a preview of the movie Foe, the one with Paul Mescal and Saoirse Ronan. And I was gonna go watch that. I saw that there wasn't good reviews at all for it, but I'm like, I'm gonna make up my own mind. But I was walking to the cinema and I looked at the letterbox, and the top review was like, don't let the 111-minute duration fool you. This feels like 4 hours. And I'm like, I'm not in the mental space to. Like, I love a slow burn. I'm about to
Hmm.
talk about a slow burn, but I'm not in the mental space for that. So I'm like, what else is on? And I saw that there was this like one session for this preview of this movie called The Cost. It's this Australian like intense thriller, and it was with a Q&A with the director. And the director had actually been shipping this movie around Australia. So he's been going from city to city just in a car, just basically showing this movie to whoever would be able to screen it. Um, so yeah, it's called The Cost, and the whole premise is that this woman, I'm trying to use words that we can't get taken down, is assaulted and killed. So that happens in the past. The person that did it is convicted and sent to jail for 30 years, but he gets out after 10 years for parole. So this whole movie picks up about her husband and her brother with their intention of kidnapping this man, torturing him, and killing him. And a lot of stuff happens around that. And this movie is made with zero budget. Like the actors aren't paid. Like this is all done through volunteer work. They're shooting in the streets at night with zero permits, saying like to the girl, "Hey, when you scream, don't actually scream. We'll do that in post in case the cops come." Like
Wow.
stuff like that. But the whole dynamic of this film is unreal. The main three actors are the brother, the husband, and the convicted man. Brilliant performances all round, and just the the way that I describe this film to people is because this is how the director kind of opened it up as is that he drives you to the cliff, but he doesn't drive you off it at all. So there is like about 10 times in this movie that you won't be able to breathe in because of the anxiety that you're feeling throughout throughout the entire thing, from even just little things like, hey, there's a car coming past, what's going to happen, to like, we got to tell these people what's happening. Like it's hard to describe this film without completely spoiling it, but in terms of a low budget anxiety filled film, it's insanely impressive. I had a joy with this movie. I thought it was great. um I have also seen Kills of the Flower Moon.
Yes.
So I'll do like a little 5 minute review on it. We'll do a longer one once you and Byron have watched it. If you and Byron are gonna watch it. But I saw this movie with four of my friends, and we all came out of this movie with kind of different opinions. I see a lot of people criticizing other people for giving it a criticism, saying that it's too long. It's 3.5 hours. If people have that criticism, fair enough. Like, long movies just aren't meant for everyone. Like, people are allowed to have different opinions. That's my opinion for it. For me, the runtime didn't affect me at all. I adored this film. I thought this movie is spectacular. The fact that I was enthralled for 3.5 hours kind of attests to Scorsese being one of the goats. I don't really want to touch too much on the story, of course, because I'm a fan of not watching any trailers and just going in blind. And I didn't know much about this movie in terms of the storyline at all going into it. But this movie is special for me. The performances alone are brilliant from start to finish. Like everyone's talking about Leo and De Niro, they're awesome, but you expect them to be awesome. You go into a movie with Leo and De Niro, directed by Scorsese, you like let them cook. Lily
Right.
Gladstone, Ash. Lily Gladstone stole this movie for me. She's on all the posters and everything, but she plays DiCaprio's wife, Molly. She is spectacular in this bloody movie. Everything that she does, everything that she says, every single scene that she's in, it really is just like a mode of like perception is how I would describe it. That you could just tell in her like little silent moments that she knows everything that's happening around her. There isn't any of those like over the top Oscar award winning scenes like you think of like Adam Driver with Marriage Story, that one scene of just
Hmm.
like, I always think you're dead, or whatever he says. Classic Adam.
Every day I wake up and yeah,
Exactly.
that one.
Yeah, that exact one. Yeah, you always think of that. There's nothing like that, but the entire performance from start to finish is raw and real. And I think that just really needs to be recognized. But in terms of the cinematography, it's stunning. We'll watch this on the biggest screen you can see. But this really just transported me for 3.5 hours. And I think that really needs to be awarded, at least in my eyes. Again, like some people on TikTok are going viral because they say that it's too long, and people are just straight up criticizing them for having that opinion. It's 3.5 hours. Like saying it's too long doesn't mean that like they're saying it's a bad movie. Just for them, it was too long. All right, then it just didn't capture them as much as it captured me, which is fine. Um, but yeah, for me, Kills of the Flower Moon is a triumph. From start to finish, I think the script is perfect. I think the acting is phenomenal. For me, the pacing for 3.5 hours is pretty fucking spectacular. Scorsese's back at it again. This is one of his best for me. This doesn't trump the top tier of his list, but at the moment, this movie is sitting at number 2 for the year for me.
Wow.
With
Yeah, I'm definitely
Oppenheimer.
very much looking forward to seeing it. I unfortunately live too far from a movie theater that I would want to be in for 3.5 hours. So
Fair
I'd have
enough.
to spend like a 6, 7 hour venture to go enjoy that, which is what I did for Babylon last year. So hopefully I can find some time. But if not, I might have to wait until it comes out on Apple, which I'm super happy that it's going to be on Apple TV Plus
Oh
because
yeah.
that makes it way easier to watch at home. So I'm definitely hopeful that it'll pop on there maybe in the next like month so I
App-
can check it out.
Apple quietly is fucking right now. Like
Hmm.
we like their shows are great, sure, but like towards the end of this year alone, within a month they've got Kills of the Flower Moon and Napoleon. Like
Yeah, you got a
two.
Scorsese and a Ridley Scott movie, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. A Leo film and a Joaquin film. Unreal. Well done. Well done.
Yeah, they're coming for that top streaming service apparently, or I guess they could kind of be like a production company now, but yeah, kind of surprising that they bought up two big movies, but I'm definitely okay
Huge.
with it because I have Apple TV Plus. So
Amen. How you been, Ash? What have you been watching? Tell me.
I've been good. I will tell you, I've been good. This last week at work was pretty hectic. I only worked 4 days. I had Monday off, and that 4 days was enough to feel like 2 days, not 2 days, 2 weeks at work. So definitely happy it's the weekend. It's
Nice.
Saturday today for me. So I am very much looking forward to enjoying my weekend. Thank you for asking. But yeah, what I've been watching is a little bit of everything. So I watched Totally Killer, that new Amazon Prime
Yeah, I still need to watch that. Was it good?
original movie. I thought it was fine. I gave it 3 stars. I think it was very generic, but it was fun. It was kind of campy in a lot of the parts, but also some parts were a little too cheesy for my personal taste. It
Right.
definitely wasn't anything super original, but it was still a good time. It's sort of like if you combined Back to the Future and Happy Death Day and put them into one
That
movie.
sounds like a great time.
It's a blast. Yeah, it's not like I said, it's not anything unique, but it's definitely a fun time. The main actress is I think her name's Kieran Shipka or something like that. She's kind of up and coming, but she was like in the reboot of that Sabrina the Teenage Witch show, which I only watched a
Right.
couple episodes of. So I'm not super familiar with her, but I thought she was great. I thought she played the character well.
That's cool.
And I would definitely recommend it. I can't imagine anyone being like, oh, I hated my time with that movie. So yeah, definitely recommend that one. Otherwise, I've watched a little bit of randomness. I've got like The Wedding Singer and Whiplash in here, rewatches, which I love both of those
I love
movies.
that. What opposite ends of the spectrum of types of
Had to
film.
change it up, I've been watching all horror films, but wanted to change it up. I finally watched Insidious: The Red Door.
What'd you think?
Pretty disappointed,
Yeah,
honestly.
I
I
haven't
thought it
watched
was
it yet.
very meh. Yeah, I was disappointed because I'm such a big fan of the first two, mostly
Yeah,
the
same.
first one, but the first two. I think Patrick Wilson could have a lot of potential as a director, but I just feel like this story was kind of already played out. And I think they just kind of were like pushing to try to make a third installment of it,
Yeah, big time.
unfortunately. But yeah, definitely not like rushed to go see it or anything like that. And then other than that, I started rewatching Haunting of Hill House. So
Fuck
I'm
yeah.
very excited about that rewatch.
I need to rewatch that, man. Like that show's so damn good. I think Ricardo might have said this week that like it's the best horror show ever made, and I can't
Oh,
disagree.
100%.
I can't disagree. That show is so good. I love
Yeah, I'm
that
a
show.
big Mike Flanagan fan, but I think that one definitely stands out as like his best work for sure. I think all the actors are amazing in it. And I love the blend of future adult life with their kid life and how they go back and forth. It's so easy to follow, even though they go back and forth so much. So, yeah, big fan. And actually, last night I rewatched Get Out
Hell yeah.
and
Hell yeah.
oh, love that movie. I was dying at your TikTok because I was like, oh, I just watched this last night too.
Yeah, Get
So, yeah,
Out's
that is
fucking
what.
awesome. I rewatched Get Out this week as well. I had that off my list. Yeah, Get Out's awesome. I think we talked about this last week in terms of like our top when we were going through our top 10 horrors of all time. Get Out's ending is sublime. Also just on Kills of the Flower Moon. Um, no story spoilers. The ending of Kills of the Flower Moon is one of my favorite recent endings of all like that I've seen.
I've heard about the ending and it's got me very, very curious.
Yeah, you can't guess it. Like it's not really a story thing. It's just like a how it's filmed, how it's made sort of thing.
Hmm.
It's just really just as soon as you start to realize what's happening, it's awesome. But there is one element of the final scene that's being spoiled a lot on TikTok and on Letterboxd, and I'm in the review section, and I'm like, just why? First off, I hate people that do that, but yeah, so just avoid that sort of shit till you watch it. Do what I do and just avoid all trailers, any review, or anything like that until you've seen the film.
Yeah, a lot of times if it's a movie I haven't seen that I want to see, I'll just like my mutual's letterbox review just to like, show some support and like it, but I don't actually read it because I don't want to accidentally ruin anything. So,
Yeah, especially reading Byron's reviews.
yeah,
Good.
they're only like a mile long.
Yeah, Byron Byron writes a fucking thesis every film.
Yeah. I respect it honestly because I
So
can
do
barely
I.
get a
I wish
couple
I could.
sentences out.
I wish I could. Yeah, but I just do like a one-liner every movie just to keep myself honest.
Yeah. Yep, and it works. So, awesome. Well, that moves us into our jump scares then, if that's what we've been watching. So, I will let you kick us off
Ah,
with some jump
um,
scares.
awesome. Yeah, so we picked this topic of jump scares because you'd speak to anyone that's not really into horror and to ask them about horror if they like it or not. And if they don't, they always say, I don't like jump scares. And the ones that they always like allude to are what we like kind of say are terrible jump scares, right? Like there's those like cheap ones that like a flash of light, a loud sound, and that's kind of it. It's there and it's over. And I think they're terrible jump scares because they don't stay with you. It's more of just like a surprise or a shock rather than a scare. So we kind of just wanted to go into and just give like not a shout out, I guess, like just to go through a bunch of like jump scares that we think need to be mentioned because they are jump scares for sure, but they're ones that stick with you, which is what I think makes the best jump scare. So first one, we talked about this last week, I think. I think this definitely came up last week. When I say the word sinister, one word comes to mind, right? And it's lawnmower. The lawnmower scene in Sinister is pretty brilliant. Because it's so simple, but it's like it takes you completely off guard. The just like from the acting of Ethan Hawke, that's one thing in the film. Like we can do a whole episode on Sinister at some time. I love this movie so much. But that one shot of the lawnmower scene is so creepy. Just to think about it, it's like giving me goosebumps. I think that's done really damn well. Like there's a few modern horrors on this list for sure, but Sinister really does need the shout out. The Conjuring. So there's a bunch of good jump scares in The Conjuring. My personal favorite, which I don't think is the best one, but my favorite one's when she's on top of the cupboard.
Hmm.
Love that one. That one fucked me when I first saw this. That's a great one. But the best one is inarguable. It's the clap scene where they make this game of the hide and seek with the claps at the beginning of the story when they're going through the house, and they use that again to create a brilliant jump scare with the mother. I love The Conjuring. I was talking to a friend about The Conjuring the other day, and he had the great point of like the movie's so good because no one dies. Like they create this horror atmosphere, and all these scares are so damn good, but the fate of everyone is still completely intact. Like that's even
Interesting. I
more
never thought
impressive.
about it that way.
Yeah, it's pretty damn impressive. But yeah, the clap scene. I'll do a couple more, then I'll shoot it over to you. Have you seen Signs? You've seen Signs, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been a minute, so I'm not sure I'll remember specifically what you're going to touch on, but I've definitely seen it.
Yeah, so Signs is one of my favorite. It's my favorite M Night film by far. I think. It might be a hot take, but I think that is his best film. But I watched this when I was a kid, and the people that are fans of it, the birthday scene is horrifying. So put you in the place. You're walking Phoenix, and you're watching the news reports going around, and they're like breaking news. We got this footage from I think it's like Brazil or some South American country. Um, sorry, about this birthday scene where they have like footage of an alien, and it's like all these kids are inside, like looking out the window, screaming, and like the camera's like rushing to the window, and the kids like, look, it's behind, and then at the end of the alley, this alien walks across. Brilliant, so damn good. It's not like a pop out or anything like that, not jump run towards you. It's just like for a second you see it, and that like completely makes everything that you've seen in the previous like 40 odd minutes just realization of what it was. Like that all the little sounds you hear in the background, that's all like there's aliens everywhere now. So I thought that was done really well. And you touched on Insidious. Insidious is the red-faced demon jump scare where it's behind Patrick Wilson. One of the best in modern horror.
Classic. Yeah.
It's one of the ones you see everywhere as well. And a lot of other horror movies are trying to really steal that. I'm not sure if you've seen The Exorcist Believer. Have you seen that yet? Nah, good.
No.
I envy you. The movie's terrible. I might need a section next week on just Exorcist Believer, just giving you a
Just
heads up.
to vent.
Oh, the movie's fucking annoys me. But yeah, they do the same thing where like behind the little girl for a second is a demon's head, literally in the same sort of place. It's and I remember I was in the theater watching it, and I was turning to my friend. I'm like, they just straight up stole Insidious right there. That's nuts. That's nuts. That's a couple from mine. I've got more, but like I just want to hand it over to you. And what else have you got?
Yeah. I mean, thinking about Sinister, I think there's multiple. I think the lawnmower scene is definitely the one that makes people uneasy the most, for sure. And I
Easy.
think especially because it's so quick. Like if you consider him watching all the other home videos, that one is the like it just like it shows it, it's quick, and then you're like, oh God, I don't want to look at that anymore. Like it's
Yeah.
just this like 5 second moment that sticks with you forever. So yeah, that's definitely probably the best one. But I also feel like there's a couple with Bagul earlier
Oh
on
yeah.
that got me. Like when he first drops his head in the view, behind Ethan Hawke, I was like, oh shit, like that's menacing. That was the first time I watched it. I'm a little bit more used to it now. And then like when he's out like in the bushes and you first kind of notice him just watching
Yeah.
and Ethan Hawke's like rubbing his eyes, like, wait, am I seeing this correctly? And you keep like looking back and he's not there. Then he's there. It's just, yeah, he's a terrifying villain that I wish they could have done something better
Terrifying
with that
ghoul.
series. Yeah, a ghoul. So yeah, Sinister, I feel like has so many, but those are the ones I thought of on top of the lawnmower. Another one that I thought of was A Quiet Place, which is not one that you would think jump scares, but because it's so silent,
Yep.
actually it got me pretty good when the youngest son gets killed and he's
Yeah.
walking
At the
on the
beginning.
train tracks.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, when you're not, yeah, that one actually, I don't know if you'd consider that a jump scare, but I did jump and I was scared. So I'm gonna throw
It's
it
a
in.
jump scare.
It definitely catches you off guard for
Oh yeah.
sure. And you're kind of like,
When you first hear that toy, the turn on, and you're like, here we go. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And Emily Blunt's face when I feel like she just like knows what's about to happen. And then obviously you kind of realize that this is setting the tone for the movie because I knew it was a horror film, but still you don't really know how dark it's going to be. I feel like up front, that to me was like, oh shit, like this is the kind of movie this is going to be. So
For sure.
yeah, that was definitely a brutal one. Have you seen Creep?
I love Creep. Oh yeah, Creep's
Yeah, that
amazing.
one. Obviously there's some scenes that aren't necessarily jump scares that are really good, but I just feel like there's a couple times where he pops into the camera view when you're not like expecting it, and it
Right.
kind of got me the first time I watched. I think because it's so realistic. I know you said that you would survive Creep
Oh, I'd
because
easily
obviously you
survive
just
Creep. Yeah, easily.
wouldn't do that, but if you are going to be in that situation, I feel like just knowing that it's just this simple kind of dopey guy with like it is more of a jump scare for me at least because it felt very realistic because of the
Yeah.
found footage style of the movie. And then thinking of other found footage, I actually just thought of these as we were talking. But have you seen Wreck, the
Love
Spanish
Wreck.
film?
Wreck's awesome. It's horrifying. It's
Talk
terrifying.
about jump scares.
Yeah, that's like
That
every
movie,
5 seconds.
yeah, that one you couldn't even probably pick one because it's just terrifying from start to finish. But yeah, I thought of that one, and then also Drag Me to Hell is like got one of the most jump scares of any movie ever. I need to rewatch it because I don't remember them well enough, but I did read that has the most jump scares of any horror
It's a
film.
good
So
movie though, isn't it? It's such a fun movie. I love Sam
it
Raimi.
is. It's pretty underrated. And I mean, Justin Long, obviously people love him in horror films. And I feel like no one really talks about that one, but he's great in that one. So definitely recommend it if people haven't watched it. I need to rewatch it. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to add to the list.
Nice. I've got a couple more. You haven't seen Lake Mungo yet. I'd highly recommend it. It's this like Australian mockumentary film where it's a horror, but it's all filmed as a documentary. It's all fake, of course, mockumentary. But it's all about this girl that drowns, and it's all about her family who think that their house is haunted, and they go through all these like overnight like time lapse videos and stuff to see if they see anyone, and like you see some things that look like ghosts, but it keeps like making you feel like you're amping up to a jump scare, but it never happens until like 10 minutes to go, where it gives you one, and it actually like pulls through. And just because it's like conditioned your mind throughout the entire film to be like, this isn't happening, is so good. So yeah, definitely watch Lake Mungo. That one jump scare in it. Anyone that's seen it knows the jump scare. Um, Haunting of Hill House needs to be mentioned, even though it's not really a movie. Um, the car scene in the Haunting of Hill
Oh
House.
yeah, I know exactly where you were going.
Yeah, I think that's the best jump scare ever made for me. I think that's
I think I actually jumped out of my seat when I first saw it.
yeah, yeah. That one takes you completely off guard, but just yeah, it's so well done. Um, Alien, the air shaft, where the light goes onto the xenomorph and you fully see the xenomorph there. That is probably my favorite scene out of Alien. So I think yeah, that scene alone is pretty fucking terrifying. I wouldn't call Seven a horror movie. It's more like a crime
No.
thriller, right? Yeah, it's a crime thriller. But the waking of Sloth is terrifying every single time because he doesn't look human at all. So definitely just wanted to mention that one. Two more and then we can move on. The Descent. You've seen The Descent, have you?
Oh yeah.
The Descent's fucking terrifying. I love The Descent.
So scary.
I love The Descent so much. But the scene where it goes to night vision, the crawlers are all behind her, and you just see the creature, and you're like, oh, it's just yeah, right. Thinking about it now, it's giving me goosebumps. And Hereditary, there is a bunch in Hereditary that are all so good, but I picked Annie on the Ceiling because that's the one that made me keep my light on right ever since I left that theater. It was so good. That movie's so good. I love that movie.
Have you seen that people like have talked about doing Halloween costumes of like Charlie and the pole?
Oh, that's fucking
Like,
good. That's good.
dude,
That's some good shit. That's some good shit right there.
I would call that scene definitely a jump. I mean, it definitely made me jump when I saw it. That movie is really good. It's just not a favorite of mine because it's almost a bit too much. Like I feel exhausted when I watch it
Yeah,
because
that's fair
it's
enough.
just very draining, like psychologically. But I appreciate it so much. Obviously, Toni Collette is just
She's the greatest
she's
actress of all
insane.
time, in my opinion. I love
She's
Toni Collette.
insane.
She's by far
Yeah,
my
I
favorite actress.
big fan of her. But yeah, no, continue on about the movie.
That's it. That's all I got. Yeah, I
Oh,
was
you just wanted to mention
yeah,
that one?
just that one because yeah, that scene of Ali on the ceiling. Because I like to talk about whenever I talk to people about Hereditary and their jump scares. Ari Aster does it a bit different, where he has some normal jump scares of like people coming out of the shadows and stuff, but he has this way in, especially in Hereditary, where he I call it like a delayed jump scare where he has it on the screen for a long time, but it's only when your brain like starts to realize it's there is when it becomes a jump scare. Like when I can't remember his name, but Alex Wolf's character, Annie's son, wakes up in the middle of the night at the end, and he sits up and like Annie's in view. She's on the ceiling in view. But you just can't see her because well you can see her outline, but your brain is still like getting used to the shadows, and then it's like that frame is there for like 15, 20 seconds because he's just like listening, looking around the room, but she's just there. So like once you see her, you're like, oh shit, there she is. But she's this is like he puts it on the screen. It's a jump scare when you realize it, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to approach it for sure. I need to rewatch that movie. It has been a couple of years since I've seen it. It's a bit of a tough one for me to to get through, so I don't watch it as often. But yeah, that's a great jump scare to end on. So if you
Amen.
guys think of any more, obviously let us know if we missed any. But I think we got a pretty solid list there.
Amen. Ash,
So
what's your
we can move
topic?
it. My topic is movies that got us into horror films, or kind of the first horror films
Ooh.
we remember watching when we were kids. So you can touch on, I guess, maybe the first ones you remember. I know you talked about Signs already, and then we can obviously talk about ones that impacted our taste maybe in horror films.
Mm-hmm.
But I can let you start it off if you want. And
Sure. Yeah, Signs is a big one for me. I loved Signs ever since I was a wee boy. Um, I watched that when I was in primary school. I don't know what primary school is in your barbaric land.
elementary school is
There
what
we
we call
go.
that.
There we go. But yeah, no, Signs definitely because it's very much like a good stepping stone into horror. One, I'm not sure if you consider it as a horror. I kind of do. Coraline.
I think so. Yeah, it's an animated horror film for
Yeah,
sure. For
it's
kids,
very
definitely.
fucking dark. If it's not, it's very dark. That was a good stepping stone into horror as well. I thought that was terrifying, but I loved it. All the button eyes and everything. Everyone that's seen Coraline knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That movie's so damn good. That deserves a rewatch. I watched Poltergeist when I was younger. I loved it. I loved Poltergeist. They're here. Oh man, still creepy. Um, Child's Play, of course, was one of the ones that my brother showed me when I was younger. Fuck him. Um, Pan's Labyrinth. We talked about Pan's Labyrinth last week in our top 10 ranking. I believe it's a horror. It has definitely has horror elements. It's a dark fantasy, sure, but it definitely has horror elements. I got shown this by my mom when I was young because she got it from, we call it video stores, but you like Video Easy in Australia, but you guys can have Blockbuster, don't you? Yeah, it's like Blockbuster. Uh, sh-
Mm-hmm.
but she picked that up for me, thinking that it was the sequel to Labyrinth with David Bowie, and it's so far away from that because I'm like 5 minutes in, 8 years old, watching the Spanish Civil War as these villagers are getting murked, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Where's David Bowie? And he's just not there. That in itself, I think, really made me love it because remember finishing that movie being like, that was horrifying, but there was something
Were
there
you
that was really
scared
awesome.
of the pale man? Like, did it
Yeah,
scare you?
or big time. Yeah, yes, yeah, big time. But the more I watch that movie, the more I appreciate it. And then some other ones that really did. Jaws is much more entertaining than a horror film. It is definitely a horror film. It's a creature feature. But I love that bloody movie. I saw that in the theaters like last year sometime. My theater does retro movie sessions, like how I saw Back to the Future last night. And that was probably the best theater experience I've ever had. It's just super, super fun. The Exorcist kind of had that like notoriety of being the scariest movie ever when I was a kid, and it took me a lot to actually watch it. I was like an early teenager when I first watched it. It's got some scenes that are terrifying. There's this deleted scene, I think it's deleted, of her spider or crab walking down the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
That image alone is the scariest thing for me of that
I'm
whole.
picturing it now, and I really don't I wish I wasn't. It
Yeah,
sounds horrifying.
it's terrible. One that you might mention, The Ring. That I like to grow up in our generation. The Ring needs to be mentioned. The Ring and The Grudge. And I also
100%.
also had a little shout out to The Dark Crystal. You ever watch The Dark Crystal?
Doesn't sound
Oh,
familiar.
it's like with all like puppets and stuff, and it's really, really creepy. It's kind of like Labyrinth, David Bowie's Labyrinth, but a bit more creepy. But those are definitely the ones that I watched when I was a wee boy that got me into horror for sure. What'd you watch?
Great list. Yeah. So definitely The Ring, I will start with because that was the first horror film I remember seeing. I feel like I had a different experience with horror films because like my parents were not big movie buffs. Like my dad liked history and like war movies. So like I saw Apocalypse Now when I was like 13 or something with my dad. So it's like I've seen a lot of classics in that sense, but they were not scary movie people. And my brother's 12 years older than me. So it wasn't like I had someone to like show, he was 18 when I was 6. So he wasn't like, oh,
That's
here,
awesome.
watch this horror film. So unfortunately, I had to kind of like discover them myself. So I feel like I started with the ones that were modern and then I ended up watching the classics later. So I feel like I almost went like in a weird order, I guess. So The Ring was the first one I remember watching. I think I was 9, maybe 10. And I was like, oh my God, I love this. Like, this is my jam.
Hell
So that
yeah.
was kind of when I realized I liked horror films. And that one just so iconic. Obviously, it's a remake. We know that, but I still think it holds up pretty well. I watch it every couple of years and I still enjoy it. Obviously, the Grudge remake as well. I remember
Oh,
watching. So creepy, that kid. Oh my God. And then on top of that, I feel like the Final Destination movies
oh,
definitely
great pick.
were my thing. Yeah. The first two alone were like, I feel like for a long time, I would watch them just, back to back. I'd always watch them at the same time together. And then when the third one came out, I think I might have been in high school, maybe late middle school. And then I would watch that one. So as the first three were kind of the ones I would watch the most, but the first one obviously being the most iconic.
Thinking about Final Destination, just it's in Final Destination 2. The truck with the logs, the tree
Yeah.
logs. You just think of that, you're like, oh, here we go. You'd be like,
Nobody ever drives next to one of those the same ever
no,
again.
no one does. Oh, great pick. Love those movies.
Yeah. So that one, actually, funny enough, the original Final Destination was actually because of an episode that they were going to make of X-Files. I don't know if you ever watched the X-Files.
No, I didn't. I didn't know this.
This is
Wow.
a really popular American show when, like, in the 90s. I watched it with my parents. It was like a detective, like, working on case files kind of show.
Scully and
But I guess
Mulder.
found it. What is it?
Scully and Mulder. Is that the David
I'm
Coffey though?
blanking on.
It's David
Yeah,
Coffey.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. But yeah, I guess the Final Destination one was based on like an episode they were gonna do of the X-Files that got scrapped. So
Really?
somebody found it and was like, well, let's make this into a movie. And then now look, it's got what, 5 movies attached to it. So
Yeah. I.
kind of just an early fun fact there. But yeah, so Final Destination, and then I would say the last couple probably were like I Know What You Did Last Summer, Stay Alive. Do you
Oh,
remember
Stay
that?
Alive. Oh, great pick.
Big Frankie Muniz fan over here at that time. So I loved the concept of just like, because I was pretty much like a gamer kid for the most part. So I feel like just the idea that you could die in real life if you die in the video game,
That's a
loved it.
great
Absolutely loved
pick.
it. And then Cabin Fever was probably the last one that really,
Oh, good one as well. Yeah. Yeah.
that like kind of going to the cabin with your friend, the high school, college age friends, and something bad starts happening. The standard recipe that we see over and over again. But yeah, I think those are probably the ones. And then obviously Nightmare on Elm Street I saw when I was like 13 or 14, and that became an instant favorite of mine. But yeah, I'm definitely a slasher and or, kind of more on the campy horror side. That's definitely what influenced my taste for sure.
Yeah, I also want to give a shout out to Scream, of course. Like it's your
Yeah.
second favorite horror film. It's my favorite horror film. I reckon I remember Scream being like the first nightmare I had of like horror movies of just the ghost face. I'm just running around. Definitely shout out to Scream. I'm thinking about getting a ghost face tattoo in the next couple of weeks. By the way,
Do it.
just a little shout out, like just right like on my forearm, just like right there. I'm thinking about just getting a little ghost face because
Yeah, actually,
I got a
this
friend
is
that
off topic.
yeah, very off topic. I got a friend that he's about to get a tattoo. It's his first tattoo. He just beat cancer. So he's getting on
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, he's just getting on his scar tissue of the where the needle went in. I can't remember how it's pronounced. Vini Vici Venece or whatever it's called. It's I came, I saw, I conquered. Great. Unreal. And I'm like, I want to get a tattoo with you. So I'm like, you get that? I'm gonna get Ghostface.
I
so
love it. I love it.
so
You got
yeah.
to get what I guess is connected for you. Actually, I was gonna say, me think of it, but I know we're off topic talking about tattoos, but I actually think I'm gonna get one, and I think I'm gonna do it on my hand, and I think I'm
Nice.
gonna do it like the nice guys. You know how he has the "You will never be happy," but I just want it to say "You will be happy"
I love
with the
that.
smiley face.
Yeah, I love
I was like,
that.
it's like one of my favorite movies of all time, and that's a perfect. I don't know if I'll get it on my hand. Maybe I'll do like my arm or something. But you made me think of it when you mentioned the ghost face. So
Yeah,
we
like
love
the
movie tattoos.
100%. Like there's a bunch that I want. I want to get the broken sword out of Lord of the Rings on my forearm. I want to get a couple like Ray Bans for Blues Brothers. But I was thinking about if I was watching Back to the Future last night, and this is far down my list. I wouldn't get it straight away. But if I was to get a Back to the Future tattoo, I'd get the "Do not open until 1986," where he writes it on the letter to give to Doc. I just like get those words. Like I think that's really a cool reference. But yeah.
Love it. Yeah, no, I think clearly movie lovers have to make it known on their bodies that we love movies, right? So
Oh
we have
yeah.
to get as many movie related tattoos as we can. So
Amen. Ash,
awesome.
give me some fun facts.
I would love to give you some fun facts. Some of these are not so fun. They're a little bit off-putting, but they are interesting to say the least. So
They're fun.
I will, they're fun in some ways. I will start you off with one that I'm sure you know, but in case you don't,
I'm gonna act surprised
um,
though. So
act super surprised. So the first American film that featured a working toilet was apparently Psycho.
what? Really?
Look, you can see your toilet back there. Can you believe it? Not a working one. And if you guys are not watching this on YouTube, you can see Harry's bathroom opening in the background of
I
this
think I've got it
video.
just cut off, but there it is.
So yeah, it was actually the first working toilet in a film, which I thought was really interesting because I mean it was clearly for a very short moment of the movie, but the
Yeah.
first time it ever happened.
Yeah, it's crazy because it was all because it was classification, right? And if you think about it, this movie has a man killing a girl in the shower, has like a decrepit body of his mother, and has like mild nudity, but it's like that's the flushing of the toilet. That's where it like they're drawing the line, and they wanted to get Hitchcock to delete that because it was so integral to the story because it showed her getting rid of the evidence or getting rid of the piece of paper. Is like that needs to stay. So he definitely dug his feet in there. Yeah, that's a great little fun
Yeah,
fact
I thought it was kind of like random, but also interesting that it happened in a horror film. So
for sure.
that is the first one. But the next one, I don't believe you probably know this one because I had no clue. But in Carrie, the original one, Sissy Spacek actually slept in her bloody clothes. Mind you, this is pig's blood for 3 days because it took them that long to film the scene. And she didn't want anything to be messed up. She wanted it to be authentic. She wanted to make sure she looked the same in every scene they filmed. 3 days.
There's just too much. Okay, that's just too much. No way. That's gross as fuck. Like, have
Funny
some
enough, that's not even the
self-respect.
grossest one. I have a grosser one for you later.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. That's gross though. That's gross.
It is. And I feel really bad that she had to do that because, I mean, I guess maybe she didn't have to, but I appreciate that she wanted to try to make it as authentic because clearly that's a great scene of the movie.
It's like Shia LaBeouf pulling out a tooth. Like, grow up, put it in post.
Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. So that was interesting to me. The next two are actually both about the ring, which you know that I love, which we just touched on. But the first one is that the cinematographer wanted the look of the movie to be very specific and authentic. So they actually removed every shadow from all of the actors in the movie in post-production and gave
Every
them this
shadow.
like floating in space look. I want to rewatch it now because I'm very curious if it's going to be noticeable or
That's
not.
awesome. Imagine that note that the director gives the visual departments like, guys, shadows, just get rid of them. Just get rid of them. They're like, oh,
Done. Yeah.
what? That's
Yeah,
awesome.
makes the whole setting very uneasy. And I have a feeling it makes it because I do feel like that movie is very like white and blue and just like looks very bright in a
Yeah,
certain
it's
extent
it's
to a certain
definitely got a
extent,
blue
which
haze over it. It definitely has a blue haze.
yeah. And I wonder if the removal of the shadows takes some of that darkness out of the shot. And so you kind of just get that more like dull, like uneasy, that kind of the floating in space look that he's talking about.
For
So I am
sure.
gonna rewatch it and see if I notice it.
That's a great little fun fact. What's the other
Yeah.
ring fun fact you got for me, Ash?
This
What
one's
is
even
it?
this one, it's even better.
Give it to me.
So Samara and her walk, is very
It's creepy.
creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So apparently the actress walked backwards and then they reversed the shot to make it look
That's
as creepy as possible.
awesome. That makes so much sense because, yeah, you watch it, you're like, this doesn't look natural, which I guess
Nope.
is the main point of it, right?
It
Wow.
looks like her shoulders are almost like rolling backwards as she's moving forward. And it makes sense if she's walking backwards that it would kind of do that.
Big
So
time.
it makes complete sense, but yeah, it's creepy as hell.
Hell yeah. Oh my God. That's creepy as all hell. Oh,
Yeah. Okay. So I've got two more for you here, and then I have just like a really like random fun quote that I found about a
ooh,
horror
fun
director.
fact and a
So
fun quote. Lucky
yeah.
day.
Okay. So the next one is also very gross.
Give it
So
to me.
for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, apparently they did not wash the mask the entire time they were filming the movie because they were afraid the cleaners would lose it. So the
What?
actor yeah, so random. Like we're afraid that if you take it to like the laundromat, like it's gonna get stuck or something, or they're gonna lose it in some fashion. I guess they didn't have a backup mask. I'm not sure, but this poor actor had to wear this smelly, unwashed mask
Oh,
for months.
that kind of goes to the character, I guess, but that's really
Yes,
gross. You can, yeah.
disgusting.
Ugh.
And did you know this movie was almost called Head Cheese?
I would prefer that title. Now that I've heard about it, I want to watch Head Cheese. How do they get to that? How do they, like,
I couldn't find like the full origin of that name, but that apparently was what the name almost was.
Head Cheese?
I don't like
Legendary.
it.
No,
Can you
it's
imagine the
terrible.
like
It's terrible.
classic slasher that influenced every like movie after being called Head Cheese?
This summer, Head Cheese.
No. I think they made the right decision there. To just go with the basic, where are we located and what is he killing with?
Yeah, done.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Simplicity is more sometimes.
It really is. So yeah, that was the grossest one I found. And then the last one, very simple, and probably people know this, but in the original Candyman, Tony Todd put real bees into his mouth for that
Why?
scene where all of them are coming out to make it
Why?
authentic.
No, but like I get that, but like that's so dangerous. That's so
So dangerous.
so stupid. That didn't need to happen. That
Nope. But I do really enjoy the original Candyman. It is very, very
oh,
haunting.
it's great. Have you watched the remake?
I
Well,
have, yeah.
what do you think?
I thought it was fine. I enjoyed it enough.
I remember because I watched it. It was getting incredible reviews. It was getting like 9s out of 10. Some people gave it like 9.5. And I watched it. I
Wow.
was just like, I was let down from that. I love the original. I think the original is so much better. So
I
much
agree.
better.
No, I don't like the new one more than the original, but I didn't like hate it or
I
anything.
didn't
I
hate it.
definitely
No, no, no.
enjoyed.
Like I didn't Halloween ends it. How like
It's a great way to use that
yeah.
word, Harry.
I hate Halloween ends
Oh, I do too.
with
Fuck
every
that movie.
fiber of my soul. I hate that movie.
I was pissed after that movie. I literally could really sleep the night after I watched it because I was so angry
Yeah,
just with what they did.
I saw it with my roommate at the time, and we left it, and he's like, "That wasn't that good, but at least it had like the showdown at the end." I'm like, "What showdown?" It's like the whole movie was pitched as a showdown, and we've got Beta Michael Myers for as the main character, who sucks. By the way, he sucks. Oh man, we should do a whole episode on this. I guess I don't want to rewatch it.
We'll have to do an episode on horror movies that piss us off because I think the list is getting longer.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it definitely is. Good
All
point.
right, so the final one that I wanted to share, which I just thought it was super random, and I love this director, so I thought I would share it. But apparently, Scott Derrickson, who, if people don't know, directed Sinister and The Black Phone, two of my favorite horror films. He apparently wants to make a Star Wars-esque movie that is R-rated and that is a horror film. And he said this: "I would make an R-rated frozen planet horror film in the vein of The Thing or in the Mountains of Madness with zero connection to any previous characters or storylines." So I'm just here to say, Scott Derrickson, if you're listening to this,
Do that.
please do this,
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. That sounds awesome. Like
right?
to do another like thing like film for sure. And he's
But he
he's so
specifically
good.
referenced Star Wars too, so I'm very curious, like where he's thinking that would kind of tie in with all of that. So
Ewoks will be the tie-in.
maybe,
They'd be
yeah,
the monster. I love Ewoks. They get a lot of hate.
yeah.
Shout out to Ewoks if you're listening. Shout out.
If you're listening, yeah. So if the Ewoks and if Scott Derrickson are listening, this episode's for you. But that is my final fun fact. So I will let you go into this mysterious game that you have planned for
Ooh,
me.
mysterious game. All right, so Ash, I'm going to give you 20 movies. We're calling this overrated versus underrated, or underrated versus overrated, however you feel. So I've got 20 horror movies. I've asked my TikTok audience to vote on if they're overrated or underrated, and basically I'm going to give you the movie. We can talk about it for a little bit if you'd like, and then you're going to guess if the audience voted it underrated or overrated. And
So I'm guessing if people are voting it
yeah,
one way or the other.
but
Okay,
you say like I think it's underrated, but I think the consensus is overrated. Things like that.
fun. Love it.
So this is all horror themed. So there's no real score, so it's just good old job well done by the end of it. So well done, Ash. Ash, first one I want to give you is the Blair Witch Project. Do you think it's
Ooh.
underrated or overrated?
Um, for me, I think it's probably a little bit overrated. And I probably would say that the consensus would be overrated. Now, I don't know about the actual star rating, but I feel like with like the way it's talked about, at least, I
Yeah.
do think it is a little bit overhyped. I do enjoy it. I don't think it's a bad movie, but I think at this point in time, it's a little bit overrated for the
Mm,
most part.
nice. So collectively, I've got a few thousand votes in for this.
Damn.
So wrong, Ash. 53% say that it's underrated. So it was very close. It was very, very close.
Damn. I mean,
53% says.
technically, I have it rated, I think, higher than the average on Letterboxd. So in that sense, I guess technically I rate it
Still wrong,
higher.
Ash. Still wrong.
All right, I'm wrong.
Still wrong. Ash, number two, The Witch. Robert Eggers' first film. Do you think it's underrated or overrated?
I personally think it's a little bit overrated, but I'm sure people think it's underrated. I think it's enjoyable, but it was a little bit too slow burn for me personally. Not quite my type of horror that I enjoy, but I think most people would say it's underrated.
I agree with you, Ash. I think it's overrated, and so do majority of people. 54% say that it's overrated. Yes, yeah, not going too well,
I've
Ash.
got to get my mind out of movie talk because I'm thinking like our circle of mutual friends.
Yeah,
I think that's where my mind is going. I've got to get outside of that.
amen. So, number three, Ash, the movie Mother with Jennifer Lawrence, the Darren Aronofsky film. Do you think it's overrated or underrated?
I haven't seen it. It's on my list for
Oh,
this
I
year,
envy
actually.
you. I envy you there.
I'm gonna go ahead and say overrated.
Ash, that is correct. 66% overrated.
Woo!
Unreal. Yeah, I hate that movie. I hate that movie so much.
I've heard
Um,
very, very divisive things about it.
a lot of these is very split. There's a couple that are like severely towards one end, but there's a lot of it's like within 5%. Number four, Saw, the original Saw, James Wan. Do you reckon it's underrated or overrated, Ash?
I think it's underrated,
Yeah,
and I'm gonna go ahead and agree that people probably think that it's also. Yeah, I'm gonna go underrated. I'm gonna do both underrated.
it's a fair guess. I agree with you. I think it's underrated. People 52% say it's overrated, which is nuts to me.
Boo.
I think that's an L on the people side to be
Big L.
from my perspective. Ash, we've got The Cabin in the Woods for our fifth film. Do you think it's underrated?
Underrated. Underrated for sure.
57% agree with you. Underrated. Absolutely. That movie is just so much
Love that
fun.
movie.
Ash, number six. Go with your gut, all right? Army of Darkness. What do you think?
I think it's underrated. I think people think it's overrated.
Ash, 57% agree that it's underrated.
Yes, that makes me so happy, actually.
Yeah,
Fucking
absolutely.
love that movie.
Number seven, Ash. This could be in the episode where we hate horror movies. Men. Alex Garland's Men from last year. Did you watch it?
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of Men? What did you think of that
Fuck that
movie?
movie.
Yeah, that movie
I
sucks.
hated that
That
movie.
movie's
I'm gonna
terrible.
go with overrated, and I hope that people agree with me.
61% agree with you, Ash. 61%
That's
say it's
way too
overrated.
low of a
Way
percentage
too
that
low.
agree with me.
Way too low.
And I love Alex Garland's movies, but that one, no.
Absolutely. Our eighth film, Us. Jordan Peele's second film, Us. Do you think it's underrated or overrated?
I think it's a bit underrated. I think people overhate it personally. I like all of his films, so I'll go underrated, but I feel like people probably said that they think it's overrated.
So you think people say it's overrated and you think it's underrated. I agree with you. I think it is underrated as well. And 51% of people think it's overrated. So you're correct. 1%. So it was such a split.
That one really gets people up in arms, I've noticed. Like out of all his films, that one I feel like has the most distinct opinions on it.
For sure. Number nine, Skinamarink from the beginning of this year. Did you see that movie?
Thankfully, no, and I don't plan to.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like one that I would enjoy. I guess I'm guessing people think it's probably overrated, maybe. But I don't know what
53%.
it's,
Ooh.
I was just gonna say I don't know what its ratings are like. So
Okay, 53% say it is overrated. So you're correct there, Ash. Good work. Good work. I don't like the movie. It's not for me. Like I respect it for sure of its filmmaking. I think it's like cool visually, but the movie just does nothing for me.
hmm
Number 10, got the original Psycho from Alfred Hitchcock. Do you think it's underrated or overrated?
I mean, I guess if I had to pick, I would say probably underrated. And I guess I'll say that most people probably said the same thing.
It's 59% say it's overrated, which is
Interesting.
nuts because 59% aren't that educated. But it's okay. We're into the back end
We'll get
now.
there.
We're into the back end. We're in the back end now. You're going well, Ash. You're going well. Number 11, Tusk from Kevin Smith. What do you think about Tusk? What do you think about Tusk?
Look, I'm actually a big Kevin Smith fan, but Tusk is not a movie for me. Overrated. Overrated is both my answers.
56% agree with you. Absolutely is overrated, and I agree with you as well. I think that movie is a trash, and I love Kevin Smith. I think he's awesome. I met him at I went to Sundance Film Festival in 2016, and in Salt Lake, and I met him for when he was doing Yoga Hoosers, and just chatting to him. He's just the nicest guy ever. But
Yeah, I would love to
Tusk
be able
ain't it.
to meet him. He's awesome.
Tusk is not it. Number 12, the classic, The Exorcist. Do you think people think that it's overrated or underrated?
I haven't seen it recently enough to have an opinion myself, but I think that people probably think it's overrated.
Correct. 57%. Ash, killing it right now. Ash, here's one for you that you have seen recently. Nightmare on Elm Street. The original Wes Craven's Nightmare on Elm Street. This is gonna
So
this is gonna dictate your love for this audience, isn't it?
severely underrated.
61% agree with you, Ash. Underrated.
Yes. Two of my
Absolutely.
favorite movies coming in hot with the underrated. I love it.
Amen. Evil Dead 2, Sam Raimi. What do you think?
Underrated.
58% correct. Absolutely. Here's one for you. I'm not sure if this is a horror movie. I just put it in there anyway. Bird Box. Sandra Bullock. Netflix
I actually
original.
never saw it.
Yeah, I envy that.
I'm gonna go with overrated.
64% say it's overrated. Absolutely. Coming in number 16, so we've got 5 left. The Mist from Frank Darabont.
The Mist. God, that movie's got a brutal ending.
That's a rough ending. I don't like that ending at all. It's a rough ending. Just wait 30 seconds, champ. Just wait 30 seconds before you shoot your
Yeah.
spawn. Yeah. Spoilers.
I'm gonna go with underrated for me and for audience.
Correct. 62% say it's underrated. Well done. Paranormal Activity, Ash. One of
Oh,
the.
the original one is so much fun.
It is fun.
I'm gonna go underrated for both again.
Unfortunately, 58% say it's overrated. I agree with you, though.
Boo.
I think it's a lot of fun. Number 3, third last, sorry. Malignant. James Wan's Malignant.
This movie is so much fun. I actually just watched it like in the last 2 weeks, and every time I watch it, I'm just like, what the fucking fuck is this movie? But
Yeah.
I love it. I'm gonna go underrated.
I agree with you, but the people don't. It's 56% say it's overrated. I wholeheartedly agree with you, though. Here's one for you that it might have gone past the radar of the people that voted here. 2011's prequel of The Thing. Underrated or overrated?
I have not seen it myself, but my gut's saying underrated. I feel like people might think it's decent.
73% say it's underrated.
Wow, that's
So
the highest percentage we've
I
had
have
so
a
far.
feeling that because I put the poster on that it was the 2011, I have a feeling that people thought it was the original one, but it is what it is. And the last one we've got is Pearl from Ty West.
I love this movie. I think it is definitely underrated, and I would hope that people agree with me.
People do agree with you. 65%. So in total, you've
Damn,
got
that's a good percentage.
Total, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 out of 20. That's pretty damn good. 12 out of 20. Well done, Ash.
Like a D, I'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely, take that. Well, that's the end of underrated versus overrated, or overrated versus underrated, however you like.
I love it. That was a great game, Harry. Thank you for that experience and for engaging your TikTok followers in that fun.
Amen.
Thank you to the followers for participating in that.
There's a couple
well,
of people that are sorry. There was a couple of people that commented instead of actually hitting the poll. Those votes weren't counted. Just gonna let you know. I just picked the percentage. I just did the percentage of the poll. So sorry, guys.
So some of those that were 51% might have been different if
Could have been different.
you guys would have just clicked the button.
Could have been different.
All right, you guys. Well, that is all we have for you for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. And next time, please join us for a special Halloween inspired episode.
Ooh.
Yes. So definitely don't want to miss that. But that's it for today. I'm Ash, and with my wonderful co-host, Harry. Byron, we miss you. And we will see you guys next week.
Follow us on everything.
Yes, always follow all the socials and YouTube and the podcast on Spotify and Apple.